Hi, welcome to 7 Steps to Sustainability, Improving Your Business Model for Freelancers and Small Businesses. Our presenter, Kori Ashton, spent over 20 years in the digital marketing space. She built up a WordPress agency that sold in 2017 and spends most of her time now consulting with industry brands and agencies on improving customer retention with persona-driven development. Take it away, Kori.
Hey y'all, hello everyone. I'm so pumped to be here today. Thanks for taking time out of your weekends to just come be a part of this and invest back into what you're doing. And that's what I'm hopeful for in this workshop right now. I want to be talking about how to grow your freelancing business model. And if you're a small agency, doing your best to reach up to that mid-level agency kind of range, this is where I've been able to do it. These are the things that I've done. I'm going to share 7 aha moments with you that have really impacted that in my life, specifically inside the world of WordPress, right? As I've been a part of this community now. So y'all, I'm going to move pretty quickly because as a Southern gal, I do speak pretty fast and we've got a short amount of time to cover a lot of really cool stuff. But I'm going to give you a link that you can go to and check out some specific little extra assets that I'm going to give you and resources that I'm going to give you today. So you'll have that with you. If there are moments in this that you go, oh, I need to remember that, and you can't write quickly enough, just take a quick screenshot of your screen, right? Figure that out. Or if you have your cell phone by, take a quick picture of your screen and you'll have that resource available for you. I'm super pumped because we are about to go through all sorts of different things. We're going to talk about pricing structure. We're going to talk about residual income and building out a recurring revenue model. We're going to talk about contracts, which a lot of people don't talk about at these WordCamps. So let's dive into it and see what we can explore and learn today. And I'm going to challenge you just to hopefully take away at least one thing that can be impactful for your business model this weekend that you can go have as an action item this weekend to go and implement. So we are doing this. We're hopefully going to be improving your business model specifically for freelancers and small business. And there are 7 key steps. This is your link, askkori.com/WC Kent. I would love for you to go there. You don't have to right now, but I want you to go there ultimately and get some resources that I'll be talking about in this talk. All right, the very first thing I'm going to challenge you to do is know your purpose and your passion. It's so important to understand your why. If you're familiar at all with Simon Sinek, he actually says start with your why, and he walks you through how to get to your why you're in business. Knowing your purpose and knowing your passion allows you to steer your ship correctly. So in 2012, I started a company with my parents. It was a WordPress agency here in San Antonio, Texas, and we called it Webtegrity. We had our grand opening in 2012, and this was the crew that helped start it. It was actually just initially me and my mom and dad, who you see here on the right side of your screen. My mom was our accountant, and my dad was all of our technical assistants, and I was every other hat that you can possibly imagine. I was lead sales, I was marketing, I was designer, I'm going to really loosely use the word developer. I'm going to put that in some serious air quotes because I only know how to spell PHP. I don't know how to write it. So I'm out there with themes and all sorts of hacking methods, right? That's how we started the company. And very quickly, we started growing and adding on some subcontractors. And I'll walk you through a little bit of that story a little bit later on. Our claim to fame was we were above a Starbucks. Oh, man, that was amazing for us because I started as a freelancer. I actually started building websites in 1998, old school HTML websites. And when I had a client one time ask me for WordPress, I was like, oh, no problem. Totally got you. Went home and Googled, what is WordPress, right? And over the weekend, taught myself how to build out a WordPress website using a pre-existing theme and started selling WordPress. And I just had that aha moment of, man, I think I'm onto something here. Especially those of you that have ever had the frustration of trying to build out an HTML site. For me, the magic happened when I went into dashboard, appearance, and menus, and I was able to do a drag and drop menu and build this thing out in just a matter of seconds, and it was on every single page, and I was like, oh, my life has been forever changed. So WordPress was definitely the all-in concept. We decided to plant our flag in the ground in San Antonio and wave that we are the WordPress go-to shop. So understanding your purpose and your passion can keep you centered. And that's really where I want you to understand that if you know why you are opening your business and running your business, if you know why you're waking up every day to do it over and over and over again, it will keep you centered. It will keep you driving in the correct direction. For me, we named our company Webtegrity because we absolutely wanted to have integrity in our pricing, in our deliverables, in our communication, and also in our internal community inside of our company. We just wanted to have a strong sense of integrity. So that was our purpose. We wanted to give back to small businesses and entrepreneurs in our San Antonio community and help them get online in an affordable manner. So with that, understanding your why and understanding your purpose, you also need to know your exit strategy. Very early on in my entrepreneurial journey, I had a mentor tell me, Kori, do you understand your exit strategy? And I was like, are you kidding me? I'm just trying to figure out how to turn on my lights. What do you mean I have to know what's going to happen at the end of this road? And he said, your exit strategy is almost more valuable than your mission statement, than your why. Because at the end of this, what does that look like for you? Is this something where you're going to turn the sign from open to close, turn off your lights, and that's it, no more? Is this something that you want to actually grow up and allow it to be kind of this boxed unit that you can then sell and walk away from? Maybe having some sort of a residual payment from them, some sort of relationship like that? Is this something where it'll be a legacy product handed down to somebody in your family and you want the next generation to come up and run this company? What does it look like the day that you try to remove yourself from this picture? Understanding what that looks like allows you, again, to drive toward that decision. What you can do is you can write these things down, put them up next to your computer on the wall, and say to yourself, every decision that I make needs to be measured by those goals. Does this decision that I'm making today get me to that end goal? If it does, then this is a correct decision, and let's give it a try. So understand your exit strategy. For us, we moved pretty quickly away from being above a Starbucks. I wanted to continue to establish our legitimacy. We moved into this beautiful building and grew our team from what was 3, me, my mom, and dad, to a group of 17 ultimately. We have this amazing shot here of some of the indoor of our beautiful facility. It was such a cool time in my life to grow up this company and to have such a great space. We had clients that would come in, and the second they would enter our showroom, our entranceway, they would say to me, I want to work with you just because the vibe here. I'm like, yeah, just because the vibe, right? So in 2017, we were actually acquired for 7 figures. Our exit strategy in starting the company was to sprint really quickly and get my parents' retirement. That was the goal. How do we sprint as quickly as possible and sell this thing so that at the end of the day, my parents can retire and I can move on into my next evolution of whatever season I'm going to go into? So that was the goal. And we didn't know if it was going to take us 3 years, 5 years, or 15 years. We just knew that was the goal. And every decision that we tried to make pointed us toward that. And we were able to do it in a short 5-year sprint. So knowing your exit strategy gives you that target to aim towards. So I'm going to just challenge you today. If this is your aha moment, what is your exit strategy? Do you even understand that as a freelancer? Is your exit strategy of this season right now as a freelancer, is that exit strategy moving into a small agency and you want to start growing up your business and acquiring team members? Is that something you want to do? Or are you loving life as a solopreneur right now and this is your gig and this feels right? Nobody needs to look at you and say, oh, well, why aren't you an agency yet? If you love being a freelancer and that's what fits right for you, I'm going to challenge you to thrive in that. And know that you're amazing to me. I think it's incredible that you're able to do that. Being a small agency and growing into a medium-sized agency, again, it has to feel right to you. So define your own exit strategy. Don't let anybody else definitively give you that direction. This needs to be something that comes from your heart. So these are our first 2 things. Know your purpose and have an exit strategy. If you can do that, you're already light years ahead of the competitors. All right, so we're going to look now at some key improvements. Improve your service, improve your pricing and profit, and improve your process. I know probably out of all these, we're looking at that word profit going, oh, that's the one I'm mostly interested in. But it takes all of these to get to that point. So as much as we all enjoy making money, I need us to think about our processes so that what we're doing is sustainable as well as scalable. So if we improve our services, we can then improve our pricing that ultimately should allow us to have better margins and improve our profit. And with all that, you have to have a great process. So improving your services, that's what we're going to start first. I'm going to challenge you to niche yourself. One of the mistakes I made very early on is I tried to be all things to all of my clients. So let's say somebody walked in the door and as a small business, they had just registered their business and they needed a logo, business cards, brochures back in the day, a website. They needed their menus made for the restaurant. They needed a car wrap designed. They needed, the gamut, right? They needed everything. And I'm hearing those problems. And as a fixer, I know that about myself. I want to be the solution for all of those problems. So I'm just thinking, add that as an item line, add that as an item line, and I'm going to do all this for this client. But the truth is, I kind of sucked as a designer. I'm not really that talented when it comes to designing. So what I should have done early on is not overcommit to a client, but maybe network with a really great designer in the area and say, you know what? I don't do that service, but I have a partner in business. I have a friend in business. I have a networking buddy, a gal that's great at this. I'm going to send you there. She'll fulfill that. And then you'll pivot right here and I'll take care of what I know I'm great at. And here's what I'm great at. I'm great at websites. I'm great at SEO. I'm great at digital marketing after we go live with you. And that's where I'm going to partner best with you. Niching yourself allows you to be creative and incredible in those one deliverable things that you're offering to your client. And it allows you to charge more typically. So then you can start adding services, but I'm going to challenge you to add services that are supportive to your niche. Meaning, if you feel like I'm really great at design, Kori, I'm total opposite of you. I'm great at design. I'm horrible at development. Then start adding on complementary services inside of that design lane. If you're great at development, then figure out how to bring in a reoccurring residual model with support plans, because that's just more development, right? Maybe they have pictures they need to change out every quarter, or maybe they have new team members that need to be added, or maybe they want ongoing SEO and you understand those services. These are the types of things that complement your niche and make sense to bring to the table and tell your client, this is what I can do for you. Additional things like conversion strategy, additional things like SEO organic, right? Organic SEO versus paid. So there are different things that you can kind of bring in some variations and add to that contract and move your pricing from maybe selling $5,000 websites to selling $50,000 websites. Another huge aha moment that I had was WordCamp Austin 2014. I was there in the audience when Jason Cohen, who is one of the leadership team members of WP Engine, was speaking at a WordCamp as a keynote speaker at that WordCamp. And he said to all of us, if you don't have a reoccurring revenue stream in your model right now, in your business model right now, I'm going to say to you that in 3 years, your lights are going to be off. And it rattled me. It shook me because I thought, oh my goodness, here's a very successful company in the WordPress industry giving me an aha moment right now. And I need to set up and pay attention. What is it that he's saying I need to go do to keep my lights on? And when he said it's that reoccurring revenue model, I kept thinking, okay, I don't have that right now at all. I am project to project to project. And I am in pain when my client goes rogue because I charged 50% down and I'm waiting for that final payment. And they're off and running and can't figure out their about us information. And I'm wondering how I'm going to pay my bills. We'll talk more about pricing structure in just a minute, but specifically a reoccurring revenue model inside of your agency. I cannot stress to you how important that is. It allowed us to go from charging clients a one-time fee to telling them inside of this partnership, as we launch you right now, you're going to be coming onto a support plan and minimally it's going to be $99 a month. Here's what that did for us. I'm going to show you right now what our packages were. what you can do is partner with a great hosting company like Nexus or Liquid Web or WP Engine. Partner with one of those companies and come in here and take what they're offering, right? Go down the bullet point list of what they're offering inside of their hosting plans and bring that to the table and add your own skill sets to the list and put them in these packages and say to your clients, we couldn't call them retainers because that makes people's jaws kind of torque. They think about lawyers. We didn't want to call them maintenance plans because people are like, I don't need maintenance. But for some reason, especially in South Texas, the keyword of support plans, everybody sat up and said, oh, of course I need support. Yes, I want to be able to reach out to you and ask you questions. I want to have you do things as we toss it over the fence to you. Of course I want that. We actually required it. So if you built with us, we required a minimum 12-month agreement to get you out of the gate and get you into a sustainable relationship, growing and launching your new website. So these were the lanes that we required. Here's the aha moment that we had with this, y'all. This took us from making right around, I think when we started this program in 2012, we had maybe $3,000 a month that was just kind of trickling in on these residual kind of leftover plans that we had partnered with. Somebody needed SEO somewhere, but I was never peddling with the mindset of everybody coming in has to have these support plans. In my mind, my sales pitch in my absolute green, ignorant phase was, it's just $2,500 and no more ever again. And that's great for the client. That's horrible for us. So we have to think about having our lights on through all the seasons. And I'm sure you're feeling it now as we've all gone through this quarantine phase, this quarantine season of our lives right now through COVID, where we're looking at things going, man, are people really buying my services still? If you had, or if you have this kind of reoccurring revenue model inside of your business strategy, this is what keeps your lights on in these tough seasons. Then I'm going to challenge you to go custom. For us, selling $2,500 websites, I remember the first time I handed a contract to a client and it was $4,000. And I thought, are they going to go for it? That's amazing if they do. I'm going to be able to pay my truck payment. I'm going to be able to pay my house bill. I thought it was so incredible. The last project I just sold rolled out for $172,000 for a website build. So it's possible to grow this. And the way you do that is by customizing your offerings. The more custom you can go with API integrations, custom WordPress themes, CRM integrations, all of these different things that you can offer, ongoing strategies for your clients, that's where the value lies. And that's where your price tag can just increase and your deliverables can increase for the value for your clients. I'm also going to challenge you to give back. We're going to talk about this aspect inside of your business model in a couple of different ways in this chat. Giving back for us in this, when I'm talking about your services, one of the things we found early on is everybody needs something for free. And our heart is to give back. And when you name your company Webtegrity, you kind of say as a tagline, we're a sucker for nonprofits. You just are. We love people and we want to help people. But the problem was everybody's coming in line going, I don't have a budget, but I need this, 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 and this. So what we did was we actually created a drawing every month. Early on in our business model, we had people come in and put their name in a hat, literally put their name in a hat and say, hey, I'm a local nonprofit. We need a website. And then what we would do is at the end of the month, we would pick out a name and find the name. And that was the company that we would build a free website for. It would be a 10-page pre-existing theme like Divi. We would build it out on that and hand it right back to the nonprofit and say, there you go. We want to invest in your growth. And we hope that when you have a budget later on down the road and you're ready for a new iteration of this, you'll come back to us and build that relationship with us. What it did was it allowed us to not say no to anybody. We just said, we understand your budget is nil. Come in, put your name in a hat. Let's see if we can get you a website. For those that couldn't or didn't win for that month, we had a $500 weekend workshop where you came in on a Saturday and Sunday for $500 and we taught you how to build it yourself. That's the way you give back to your community. And I'm sure there are others here. If you want to mention it in the chat, other ideas that you've done as a give back in your community, I would love for you to throw them inside that chat and just start to share them with each other. Because I think it's extremely important. I feel like it's one of our core values in the WordPress community of being an open source community. We need to give back not only to each other as peers in the industry, but also to our communities. Let's talk about improving our pricing and our profit, y'all, because this is where it gets fun, Ralph. So know your numbers. Anybody like to watch Shark Tank? They stress, know your numbers. You got to know your numbers, y'all. I am a creative brain. Math and science makes me go cross-eyed right away. I don't want the business side of things. I don't feel like I'm smart enough to know the business side of things, even though I've been an entrepreneur since I was 12 years old. Doesn't matter. I was never an entrepreneur for the business strategies. I was an entrepreneur because I didn't want to be an employee. I was an entrepreneur because I saw a way to make some money and I was like, I want to make some money. So I'm going to challenge you though, if you understand your margins, you understand your numbers, you're only going to be even that much more profitable, that much more sustainable, that much more scalable. So think about knowing your numbers, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that means. Again, I'm going to hammer it home. You've got to require residual fees, whatever that looks like, you guys. Whether you are a designer or you are a developer or you are an SEO company, whatever that looks like, get creative and figure out how to have that required residual income. When we sold our company in 2017, we went to the table from having around that $2,500 to $3,000 a month residual income to moving us to having $80,000 a month coming in off residual income. That's what looked so valuable to the incoming company that bought us, is we had on the books contracts for $80,000 a month coming in. And that was just residual. All of our builds on top of that were extra builds happening, right? That was extra fluffy, good money happening that padded our books and gave us that good margin. Simplified contracts. Here we go, starting to talk about contracts. And I have to pause us for a minute. And I really need y'all to hear me say this. I am not a lawyer. I do not want you to take this context that I'm about to show you and copy and paste this and think that this is going to cover your tush contractually somewhere legally, right? These are just examples that I'm about to show you. And I'm hoping that what this will do is give you aha moments as to maybe little nuances in your current contract that you might not have thought about yet. That's why I'm showing you this. I think there could be some legal ramifications if you take these things and just go use them right away. Not that I'm going to sue you, that they might not be legitimate enough for you. Okay, so just let me start by saying that, and I hope you all hear me. Give me a high five if you do hear me, and let's move forward with this, because I really want to show you some cool stuff that I wish people had shown me. I feel like we all hold this a little too close to our chest, and we go, I don't want my competitors to see how I'm pricing stuff. It doesn't matter, you guys. I just want y'all to have some ideas in your mind of what others are doing and think, that's not going to work for me. Or think, maybe I'll take that one component and figure out how to make that work for me. So this is basically how I started. Most of our contracts started on an initial just handshake, good old boy agreement. That's what we do here in Texas, right? A good old boy agreement. Very quickly, I realized that good old boy agreement gets very skewed right away, and scope creep is a real thing. So let's just put it down in writing and figure out very simply what our expectations are, not only for you as a client, but for me as the one that's going to have to go do all these executable deliverables. So I went to a single page contract, and this is a simple SOW, scope of work. This scope of work allows you to bullet point things out, and I would challenge you to actually add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not just a bunch of ones in there. List out the actual tasks that you feel like you have understood this project to be, so that you can step by step walk the client through it and say, everything that we've talked about, this is what I've interpreted my tasks to be. Do these align with your expectations? If they say, oh, I thought you were going to do that intro hero video that you were talking about, that you were so pumped about. I really like the idea of that video. Why isn't that in here? Oh, well, we can absolutely add that in there. Let me also add that to the price tag, right? This allows us the accountability of delivering to the client what they expect and getting our payment as to what we expect we're about to go spend our time doing. The other thing I'm going to challenge you to do is have a time frame allocated there. It's interesting that a lot of people price things differently. Some people price things by project-based fees, a one lump sum. This is going to cost you $15,000 for me to do. And then you just go spend whatever time you spend on it. For us, early on, we were still learning how long it took us to do things. We were still working with a select industry level of people, small businesses, who didn't necessarily understand the process either. So their scope creep was a very real thing. So we allocated things like this: 20 hours total it should take us to do these tasks for us. We're going to spend 5 hours in design, 10 hours in development, and 5 hours adding in your content and spicing it up for SEO. It should be 20 hours. What this allowed us to do is inside that design phase, as we're coming up with cool ideas, if we sent back to the client a design and the client goes, nope, 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 I found 3 other websites I'm going to show you today, and I need you to go do it this way. Okay. So you go back to the drawing board, you create a new iteration, you send it back to the client, and the client goes, no, no, no. My grandmother sent me 4 other websites. I love these now. Let's go this way. What this allows you to do is then pause with the client and say to the client, I'd love to do that for you. Yeah, let's go in that route. I'm in full agreement of that. However, I only allocated 5 hours in our design phase right now. So if you'd like me to go ahead and go down that lane, let's add in another 3 hours. Are you open to that? Yes, you are. Okay, I'm going to put that down here as an add-on to our contract, an additional 3 hours at $85 an hour. Let me go work on this new iteration for you. It keeps you from having to dig into your other buckets of time and allows you to get paid for that extra work that's happening. If that client goes, no, I can't afford that, then you say, well, let's save those ideas for a phase 2, and let's go ahead and get you out launched. I know you want to be making money. We need to go ahead and get you launched with this iteration right now, and let's move forward. Payment terms for a simple scope like this, anything under $5,000, I typically charge all payment up front. It's up to you as to how you want to do that. I'll talk about another pricing model in just a minute that might be better for those larger projects. But there's fine print. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see just a little bit closer here. There's fine print as you get down here into the signature area of the contract that I want you to be very aware of. Let's read through this. The above prices, specifications, and conditions are satisfactory and hereby accepted. Company, or whatever your company's name is authorized to do the work as specified above. Payment terms are approved, and the deposit is fully non-refundable. I want you to think about that type of language to cover your tush on those clients that put down a deposit and then go rogue on us, and we're never able to loop back. And then all of a sudden, 6 months, they come back and they're like, I don't want to do that project. I need my money back. You've already put time and effort into things, so you need to be certain to cover your tush when it comes to that type of contractual language, whatever that looks like. Not that you should take this verbatim, but whatever that looks like. Let's also go into, this is the super fine print at the very bottom. Any alteration or deviation from the above specifications involving extra costs will only be executed upon written orders for client and will become an extra charge over the sum mentioned in this proposal. Basically, that means if you scope creep, I can charge you for it. All agreements must be submitted in writing. Any content requested by WebTegrity, our company, that is delayed or not submitted by the client will result in an extension of the above listed time frame and will not be our fault. Basically, if you go rogue, don't blame us. This delay will incur an additional fee as well. The deposit is non-refundable, in case I didn't mention that, right? Throw that in there. All right, let's look at a better cash flow opportunity here. If you had something that was a little bit larger, you could say something along the lines of 20% down, and the other fees are going to be charged every month. So here's what I did. Early on, I did 50% down and the other 50% whenever you're ready to go live. That's great for the client. It's not great for you. That client could go rogue and you never get that last payment. Or that client decides that this project is now a 2-year-long project, drags their feet, and you are waiting and waiting and waiting for that last payment. Here's what I found out and had an aha moment later on as I was in the industry longer. If you charge 20% down, that goes against your first month that you're working for that client. It's like the deposit. Then the next month, you charge that client for the work done in that month. Now you're all still working on the same budget. So let's say the whole project was $10,000. So the first payment down is $2,000. $2,000, got it in my pocket. That's 20% down. I've got that $2,000 in my pocket. Now I'm off to work for you. Then at the end of the next 30 days, you bill them for the work that you did. They pay it. You've got a little bit of that money in. Every month that you're working toward the end goal here, they're paying you for your effort. What that allows you to do is have these smaller payments. It's not based on milestone because milestones still rely on the client. This also allows you to tell the client, well, if you haven't paid this month, unfortunately, I can't work for you next month. So I'm going to go work on another project. When you're ready to make that payment happen on that invoice, I'd love to circle back to your project. It allows you to keep focused on clients who are willing to pay you. Clearer scopes. I think that's a big part of your contract language as well. You really have to have a definitive scope. So I talked about bullet pointing things out on what you believe is included. I also have a statement in here of what is not included. The customer already has their own domain name. They already have their own logo. We're not going to be doing video work for you. We're not going to be designing or printing products for you, printable products. We're not going to be doing SMM. But notice it says, but optional for an additional fee. So if they look at this list and they go, oh, I thought that was going to be included. And you can say, oh, I would love to do that for you. Let's add that to the scope and add that to the price tag. All right, let's talk about process, y'all. I told you we were going to move pretty quickly. Great thing is you'll be able to go back and watch this video over and over again. I think this is going to live for forever somewhere. So whether it's on WordPress.tv or it's on YouTube, contact WordCamp Kent and you'll check it out and see this video. Improve your process. For me, I suck at process because my brain is doot, 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 squirrel over there. Who needs a process? Just figure it out as you go. That's not scalable. And that's going to frustrate the heck out of any team members that you try to bring in because they're not in your brain. They don't understand your process. So having an open, proven process is going to be really important. One of the first things we did is we moved to the cloud so that we can collaborate quickly and easily. So if you have the ability to pivot off of your desktop, off of your hard drive, and open up your process to your team inside of the cloud, it's going to help. You guys can work on your proposals inside of Google Docs and allow people to come in and collaborate on conversation there. You can have spreadsheets there. Everything through that process allows you to be scalable and work remotely. Track everything. This was a huge problem that we had where we were not tracking our internal efforts, meaning we had no idea how much time it was taking us to knock out a design. And as I grew my team, I needed to know how to pay them. Most of my team members coming in were all subcontractors under my brand, and I needed to know specifically how much time did they spend on this. Not only so I knew what to pay them, but also so I knew on the next project, gosh, I was thinking about charging 10 hours for that. I know now our average is 15. I'm going to have to push that price tag up to cover this time frame. So what are some tools that we use? We use Harvest Time Tracker. That's a very inexpensive tool to use to track all of your time. This also syncs with QuickBooks. It's a really incredible tool that I would challenge you to figure out how to track everything you're up to. Basecamp is another tool that we use for communication forward-facing to the client. It's fine if you guys want to struggle internally in somebody's inbox or a Slack channel to figure out how to communicate with your team members. But forward-facing, what you don't want to do is have a poor experience for the client to say, listen, I sent you guys that 3 weeks ago. And you go, oh my gosh, it hit my spam folder. I can't believe that. I'm so sorry. We've been waiting on you. The whole project is delayed now because that hit my spam folder, or I just got lost in the jungle that is my inbox. Using a tool like Basecamp is going to allow you to be very, very organized. And it also allows you as a manager to watch your team members interact with your clients. And it gives you that kind of line of sight in the conversation so you can step in when you need to. If you're a larger agency or you're looking for a better, higher end solution, you can certainly look at Jira and Rike as two of those larger internal communicative tools. Jibble is a free add-on to Slack that allows your team members to clock in and clock out. Free is always in the budget. Jibble is a really cool tool to have, so check that one out. Don't be bullied, you guys. This is one of the things that I struggled with early on as well. As I love to help people, sometimes there's a good old boy that's going to walk in the room and tell me, well, I know that this should be $5,000 and I'm not going to pay a penny more. Or I'm not going to do your residual plans. There's no way. I don't want a $99 a month contract hanging over my head. All you have to say to that is, totally get it. That's your business model. It's perfectly fine. I guess we're just not a really good fit. And that's okay. I don't have to be your problem solver then. If you don't feel like my value is there for that ongoing relationship, it's okay. Now, if you need to pay the bills in an urgent way and you need to take on that project, that's up to you in that moment to break that rule for yourself, right? Or if they're a household name in your community and you want that little feather in your hat, again, that's up to you to break that rule. And I did it a few times whenever I wanted that feather in my hat. But for the most part, I wouldn't be bullied. Okay, so that's 5 of the 7, y'all. 5 of the 7 right there. We're coming into the last few minutes of our talk, and I'm going to get through these last 2 because these make me super happy. That was all the business stuff. These are the things that make me super happy when I think about sustainability in my business model. Investing in your people and in your culture. So I was so blessed to grow our team from me, my mom, and dad into other subcontractors that were coming into the industry for their first time, or maybe they were a little seasoned and they were coming into our team all as subcontractors. We had such a cool community of people that I was just so blessed to hire on and come work in our office. This is team building stuff that we did. This was a zip lining day. I am terrified of heights. I am scared out of my mind. I thought I was about to move in with the squirrels in this tree whenever I was up there. I didn't think I was coming down at all. But one of the coolest moments of this day was because I had a great team around me. I was up there and I was cheering everybody on to go, go, go ahead of me, go ahead of me. And really, it was just I was terrified to go first. So I thought if they all go first, then nobody's going to see me cry to get off this dang tree. But I stood up there, and that instructor standing there hooked me on that in my harness, hooked me onto that line. That's got to be a 1/2-inch string, right? It's a string. That's not a line. That's a string you're hanging from out of your mind. And I'm hanging there, and my knees are just knocking, and I'm thinking, I have no idea how I'm going to make it through this day. And off in a distance, you guys, all of my team members who had gone before me start yelling at me. Come on, Kori, you can do it. And they're cheering me on. We've got tacos and sweet tea waiting for you. They're just cheering me on, right? And I'm loving it because in that moment, I realized it takes a team to do anything. And when you have amazing people who are supportive, no matter how much your knees are knocking and you're trembling with getting up in the day going, are we going to make payroll? How can we do this together? I have no idea how this is going to happen. It's your team that pushes you through and encourages you in those moments. These are just some amazing hearts. These people came from totally different industries to be a part of my team. I had an esthetician be a part of our team. She had gone through a coding camp here in town and come out as a graduate and was looking for a gig. And I was like, come to Webtegrity, man. I had people come in who had never even worked on WordPress before, but they came to one of my 6-week workshops where I was teaching WordPress in the community. I fell in love with their hearts to help people. And I was like, someday you're going to be on my team. And they circled back when they were looking for a job, and I hired them into our team. These are just some amazing hearts. I'm going to challenge you to hire for the heart and train for the skills. Because if you hire the right
minutes until Q&A.
Thank you. If you hire for the right heart, you're going to have an amazing, sustainable team that pours in their blood, sweat, and tears. And then I'm going to challenge you to invest in the community, because the WordPress community is where it's at. There have been people who have gone before you. There have been people who have gone before me. And all of those people who have gone before us, typically, if you knock on their door, they will turn around and hold the door open for you. They will encourage you. They will show you the lessons that they've learned and the struggles they've gone through. So when you invest in the community, whether it's coming to a WordCamp like you're doing today, when COVID lifts and we're able to get back in person as well, invest in person in your meetup groups, invest in person as much as you possibly can, and see this incredible community shine as you are a part of things and giving back. For me, one of my biggest give backs was my WordPress Wednesday videos. Every Wednesday, I'm creating a video inside of YouTube to grow my resource library over there for anybody using WordPress. I was challenged to give back 5% of my time by Matt Mullenweg, who said, can you give back 5 for the future? If you're interested in that program, make.wordpress.org is a cool way to go get involved in the support forums or contribution to core, or literally just figuring out how to give back to your community. I'm going to challenge you to do that. This is my YouTube channel. Thankfully, this last weekend, I just hit 40,000 subscribers. What? It's so cool. If y'all haven't been over there, please come hang out with me there every Wednesday. That's it, y'all. These are our 7. Know your purpose. Have an exit strategy. Improve your services, improve your profit, improve your process, invest in your own people, and invest in your community. And you're going to totally rock it. All right, y'all. I know that was a lot. I know that was super fast, but I'm hoping you might have a couple of questions that I will do my best to quickly punch out and answer some questions if any of you have them. Lisa, can you help me with that?
Yes, absolutely, Kori. Thank you. We had a question from a social media manager questioning how she might be able to give back to the community.
Oh, man. Social media manager, one of the coolest things that we did is we ran some campaigns through social media asking people to basically nominate their favorite nonprofit for a free website or a new website iteration. So I think that's huge. If you can run some campaigns out there asking people to start talking about your agency, saying, we would love to give, $2,000 of work a month to help your nonprofit. Can you all nominate your favorite nonprofit? We're going to work with that nonprofit and give back our services to them. Anything like that you can get creative. As a social media marketing manager or anybody doing social media, you guys are the trumpeters. You are the ones with the megaphones. You're the ones reaching out to the community and asking for that engagement back. So I would certainly challenge you to figure out how can you connect with the community in a sense of where do you want to see us giving back? Let that crowdsource that information, right? Crowdsource that and have people nominate their favorite community businesses or nonprofits or youth organizations or code camps, whatever that might be that you feel like is a relevant vein for you. That not only gives you amazing exposure in your community, but it gives you a cool opportunity to give back.
Thank you. We had another question from Melissa. Okay. How do you calculate your value and what you should charge when you are just starting out?
So your value in just starting out, a lot of times, you guys, we're going to eat time, right? We're going to eat time because, one, we're learning still. And I don't believe we should always charge our clients to learn for them. That should be some of our own time, right? It just is what it is. But I will say this. I started out very early on charging $35 an hour. Very quickly, I moved to 55. Very quickly, I moved to 65. Then I moved to 85. As you start to feel more confident in your offerings to people, as you're able to bring a certain level of value or expertise to the conversation, I believe your scale of hourly rate should increase as well. And just understand, I'm not going to get out of bed for $17 an hour. I might make it to our meeting for $125 an hour, but most of the time I'm going to be looking at $250 an hour. Just depends on what I'm doing for you. If I'm consulting, that's probably where we're going to be. If we're developing for you something custom, we'll probably be at $165, $175 an hour. If we're doing SEO for you, we'll probably be in the $125 an hour. If we're just doing small little retainer stuff, quick little changes to your website, we'll probably stay in that $85 to $100 an hour type of pricing. But again, it's where you want to be and what level of client you want to be working with, whatever budgets they might have.
And finally, is there going to be a link to your slides anywhere?
So I don't give out my link to my slides because of the contract language in here. That's the only thing. I'm not sure if WordCamp Kent is going to be sending it out. I've actually asked them not to, again, because I cannot let people like copy and paste stuff. But I have put iterations of this inside of that askkori.com/WC Kent. There are some resources on that page that you can go to and just click download and go snoop and peek at. So I hope that helps.
Well, thank you so much for your time and your talk today, Kori. Everyone loved it. Awesome. Great show. I want to remind everyone that you can go to the Slack channel to provide feedback for this speaker, as well as visit the sponsor booths, which are linked on the schedule page. Thanks, Kori.
Thanks, y'all. Have a great one.